halls of One Half Radio Plaza at Life Media Studios.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to Real Country Radio.
Congratulations, Detroit. You can be thoroughly ashamed of yourself. The homicide tool has reached a nice even 750. Details on the latest leveling from Police Sergeant.
Coming up now, we're going to start off the set with...
In the morning.
Bucketblutt's Tigers could use this guy's talent.
Have you had time to get ready?
I don't waste any time getting ready. I stay ready.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cruise Show, where we had nothing to talk about, so we're going to make it up as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
I guess first things first, if you are in Central Illinois, North Central Indiana, Northeast Indiana, Northwest Ohio, North Central Ohio, wellness check, because y'all been getting your ass kicked all afternoon, making sure you're all okay.
Yeah.
What's new?
We got an inch of rain last night over this morning that we definitely needed because we were dry, and it was kind of a nice gentle rain, so we were kind of fortunate for that one. I know.
Take that when you can get it.
South and east, they're not so lucky at the moment.
Yeah, it was pretty chill rain here today too. I managed to get out and get some inspections done this morning, and then get back before the raindrops flew. Tomorrow will probably be the same.
We're supposed to be pretty nice tomorrow, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. We get up to 73 or something yesterday, so it's kind of nice. But other than that, I mean, not a whole lot going on. I know that Keystone Nationals is going on out east now. We're all wishing we could be there. I saw a sneak peek from a puller who was there of a El Camino car.
Sweet.
Yeah, really cool. So we're hoping our counterpart, who is on the show tonight because he is there, gets a sweet.
Our man on the ground.
Yeah.
Our man in Shippensburg.
Yes.
So
Harrisburg.
I was also bragged about the fact it was 75 and they're wearing shorts too. So a little jealous of that one, but
I'm going to find said El Camino if I can.
I don't know if I've ever seen that thing run anywhere out this way by any means. So, and I don't know whose it is. Do you guys?
I haven't seen it, so I guess I don't.
No, I haven't seen it either.
No.
So,
Well, it doesn't look like it's a new El Camino by any means. So it's got some age on it. Let's put it that way.
Gotcha.
So,
2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive.
Looked like a 4-wheel drive, but it was also like extremely high clearance too. So I don't understand.
It's not the old Mountain Dew car, is it?
No, because that was newer body style.
Oh, so this is like 70s era Elko.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it here.
Either way.
There was a truck that ran around Ohio for a while that I think was that body style. Huh. Ah, there it is. That's not a Elko, that's a Ranchero.
The Ranchero?
Yeah, and kind of the
Starsky and Hutch. Take a shot.
Starsky and Hutch style paint.
I don't remember. I got like half of it, and all I could see is like the front portion.
All right, well, I'll fix that here in a sec.
Burying the lead.
That thing?
Yeah. But I got it from, like I said, I only got like the front half, and it looked like it was Mikey, and he was walking from a long distance away. He wasn't going to walk any closer.
Yeah, this is new to me. I haven't seen this one before.
Like I said, it's not like a new one by any means.
No, that's the 70s.
I think that's the last body, or that's the last era Ranchero that they made, isn't it?
Probably is.
So it is a new one.
OSTPA Supermod, says Paul Weeks. If Starsky and Hutch's car had a mullet, it would be this.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's different. That's different. I'll take it.
Yeah. The other one I want to see is the van. The orange stripe van.
Oh, the one from Kentucky?
Yes. I want to
Yeah,
see
I have seen that one a few times.
That's a super mod, isn't it?
Yeah. As the Southern guys define it, with stretch wheelbase versus the Ohio guys who don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing's cool.
Just rifling through these pictures to see if there's anything else that jumps out at me like, haven't seen that before, but so far I kind of know all these. Well, that was a good catch.
Yes, Wyatt, happy Pi Day to you as well. If you haven't gone out to the Tractor Zoom socials yet, you should do that because we had a teammate who takes Pi Day pretty damn serious.
It is also my dad's birthday. So those of you that know my dad, it's his birthday. And he had, yeah. So I'm sure he's sitting in the recliner relaxing tonight.
Well deserved, I'm sure.
Yeah. So what's else new with you guys?
Drinking from a fire hose on the new job. Other than that, I haven't had time for anything else.
What are y'all drinking anyway? Speaking of drinking.
I'm not.
Uncut, unfiltered.
Smoke wagon?
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Yep.
I did something different in honor of Roger Rui, just because he happened to come across my mind lately. And so it's tequila. Barrel aged.
Oh.
No, you would enjoy this because it was finished in an E.H. Taylor barrel. Very good.
I go about 3 rounds every 10 years with tequila and wind up really, really bad. And the most recent instance of that has only been about 7 years ago. So I'm going to hold off.
Yep.
I feel like you're due.
No.
I mean, do margaritas count too? I mean, have we sworn off that bad?
Any tequila.
Lord have mercy. What's wrong with you? Who hurt you?
Tequila did.
I was going to say,
Cuervo.
she has a name.
Jose Cuervo.
It starts with a T.
That too.
So how is the new job going?
It's drinking from a fire hose. I enjoy what I'm doing. I like it, but I just haven't had enough reps yet at knowing where this gets filed and that gets reported to, and there's a lot of nuance to know as well. But I do enjoy it. I like what I'm doing.
So it's not necessarily this. It's not the subject matter as much as it is kind of the mechanics of.
It's the mechanics of doing it because it's a product that I've had a few years of. What's up, Tony? A few years of selling it, so I understand how it works and what's involved. But there, the more sophisticated the farm operation gets, the more there is to know as far as coverages and stuff. And it's just the mechanics of when I sit down in this chair, what am I accessing? What am I supposed to be paying attention to, and getting through everything in an efficient way? And I'm far from there yet. I haven't done it nearly enough. But the field stuff, send me out to go inspect something. I got that covered. I know what I'm looking for and how to approach that.
Have they sent you the new cover sheet for the TPS report?
I have gotten several cover sheets for TPS reports.
Showing our age here, but you know what? Office space doesn't get old.
No, it doesn't.
Can you imagine somebody who doesn't know the products walking in and trying to do that? Like, how bad
there actually isn't many TPS reports because, to be honest, most of what we do in my division is still very antiquated. It's still very pen and paper. So there's actually not a lot of tech yet. I've heard it's coming, and I'll welcome it. Is what it is.
So let's say we get things rolling, and let's make this one kind of a more interactive, at least this portion of the show. This just kind of popped into my head, and I don't have any basis for asking, but I want to know from the folks watching, all 40 of you, what's the most entertaining class in pulling in your area and why? Throw them up in the comments. Let's talk.
It's an interesting phenomenon.
And just because we haven't had a good argument lately.
Right.
I'd like to have an argument, please.
That's not the whole. This is abuse.
We're
it isn't.
Not even 15 minutes in there, and Ryan's starting fights already in the chat.
It's gonna be hard to have a fight about some of that though, because if I'm in a different area where I've got a class that you don't, that's like, how do we fight about something you haven't seen?
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, Tony, I know. We open a can of worms. See, our goal is to actually get brought up on pull off, because then we know we're doing things right.
Very aspirational. Cody Cheezick put up a Luck Mom post earlier this week because he finally made it to pull off.
I was so proud of him for that. I thought that was fantastic. Everybody's gonna have their haters.
Yeah.
What is the TTPA 10 farm? I know what 2.6 is, generally speaking. What is 10 farm?
The 2.6 is what you think it is. 10 farm here is 2850 RPM box charger with a claimer rule, 410 cubic inch and down, keeps the big frames out. So it's 766s and 8000s and 9000s and 4010s. And there's probably on most nights 15 or 16 of them. If all of them in the area that were built showed up on the same night, there'd probably be over 25, and they can pretty much all pound on each other. I mean, there's no favorites really.
That sounds fun.
It is fun.
You've driven in that class, haven't you?
A 10 mile an hour class. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Did you drive like an 8,000 or a 9,000 Ford?
9600. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fun class. If I could build something just to stay local with, I'd probably build something for that.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. I'm kind of looking through the
I will agree
comments.
I'll agree with Todd Gilliland's comment about West Michigan semis. They are on fire over there right now.
Uh-huh. Todd, you going to bring him to Fremont? You probably should.
Not sure. Well, he can for the Fair Bowl.
Probably not for the NTPA
Probably not for the
show.
NTPA one. Yeah. I'm going back, by the way, for the Fair Bowl this year.
Nice.
I've missed it for a few years. I'm going back.
Nice. I mean, from what I'm seeing here in the comments, it looks like there's a lot of. It looks like predominantly smoke.
Chris, the original question is, what is the most exciting class where you are?
I don't know.
And Chris, while you're thinking about it, this one's for you, buddy. Sorry you had a rough week.
Nice surprise, Todd. There's the man with the answer. He's going to run them at both.
Atta boy.
Sweet.
And any of you guys who are from Central or West Michigan who have one of those hot rod semis, be ready. My hometown fair Armada weekend, we are bringing them here. Tony, you get excited about anything hot.
It's kind of your thing. Cody, what's your favorite class to watch? What's the most entertaining to you? Charles, you're on deck.
I kind of have three. I mean, 4.1s are always fun. 2.6 trucks and 3.0s. I don't know. Those are good. The other one's the 540 Light Pro. That's just
that was 4.
Class.
You've misunderstood the assignment.
can't be that biased. I don't know. I think it also depends where you're going too. You know, because we travel a long footprint of different places, and depending on what shows up, so we're maybe a little bit different ballpark than some other people, I guess. Where you said in your area. Well, in my area, I've got a long ways to go for pulls. So
Yeah, I guess if we're limiting it to an hour's drive for you, you're going to see an awful lot of really, really pretty auger tractors. Northwest gets into your general area quite a bit.
Yeah, Northwest is going to be there. You're going to have a Nebraska bush, a couple Nebraska bush hooks, and you're going to have two Western Series PPL, and one Outlaw. Now, so didn't used to be that way, but generally, thanks, Corey. So, but yeah.
Chris has been pushing real hard to get the light pros to take off up in New York, and I think he's getting somewhere with it. I hope he is. I know we're getting some light pros that are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel for this year out here. So
yeah, there's a few joining the class, leaving other classes, so that's kind of exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep, more color, less green, some new green.
I've been saying since the inception of Sidetracked, I'm a fan of Light Pro, so that's nothing. It's nothing new for me to spout off about them.
Mm-hmm.
So Charles,
I guess for my area, I'm going to confine myself to TTPA stuff. And I'd say personally, the ones that are most exciting for me really is the 10 farm and the 6 farm, the 2 farm classes. I think they're the most accessible. They're the most with the people in them, and they're very competitive. Now, I know the fans aren't going to, your general fans are not going to like it because they're both speed limit classes. But for me personally, I like watching how the guys attack the track, and they'll play around with different lines and try different stuff. And they're in that battle against the sled when the weight starts to come on and chasing that mile per hour. I think it is exciting. But it's exciting as something you do. So to Tony's point, the one you're going to be most excited about is the one you participate in. I don't have a tractor for either one, but those would be my pick. The class I wish it was is I wish our single engine mod class would take off. There's 3 or 4. I wish it was like 7 or 8. But I don't know what it's going to take to get back to the days of the late 80s, early 90s when freaking everybody around here had a mod.
So that brings up a point. Question for you. What's your opinions about the Outlaws? Wes Severs has a 4.1 in their Outlaw or in their mod class. So it's essentially it's a 4.1 diesel blowing smoke in the mod class. Are you against that or are you for that?
No, I'm for that kind of idea. Like our rule book out here is actually a bit more restrictive than even what really Outlaws is, for good reason. But I know idle conversation Tony and I have had going back several years. Why not take a Duramax and throw one in a mod and go run that class? And if it's, if it gets a little too spicy, just limit the charger on it. That's okay. But it would be something different you could see. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah. What are single engine mods making for power out there?
Here, you're really clamped down pretty hard. You're 15, 1600, maybe pushing 17 on a good day.
Okay.
We force you to no Hemis. I believe it's 540 big block, 871 standard helix blower. I mean, it's.
Oh wow. Okay.
But it's meant to be cost effective, cheap kind of stuff that way on purpose.
Yeah.
stuff that has been cast away, or anybody who's been a mod puller for the last 30 years probably still has one of those superchargers. Like they smash their kneecap on it, at least once a week and curse it out, but never seem to throw it away. That kind of thing.
That tracks, Tony. Of course, we're tractor pullers. Of course, we party like it's 1979.
Yeah, there is that stupid part of it.
Yeah. I wonder if we're ever going to get past that.
Gotta believe someday.
What does it take to push something like that through? Does it take new blood? New blood to just tell the old blood, sit down?
Yeah. Or get the old blood. Get the old blood retired.
Well,
to be honest, I mean, it's out there. I think it would be. The Europeans figured it out a long time ago. It doesn't seem to matter to them.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, I don't know. It is going to take getting some of the old mentalities out of it.
Yeah. Well, and I think you see that a lot of places. If you don't get the new blood in there, it's either going to die or you're going to have to do something to change it.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't necessarily have to be pulling in general. I mean, there's a lot of organizations that are that way. So
that's one area where, see, it's completely befuddling to me because pulling can get it right with the diesel pickup trucks, letting them have it.
Yep.
And anywhere that class gets tried, for the most part, it does very well, enough to sustain a local organization or a regional or state level group. But then they put the box around them and won't let any other class do what they are. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Your modern tractors are all electronic. Your modern cars are all electronic. Modern gas vehicles are all electronic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't get it. And it's to Tony's point. That's always been a thing that gets said in meetings around here. Since I've been around Thumb, we'll bring it and show it to us. And then, if it works, we'll let you do it.
Yeah, well, that can also go the flip side too. If it whoops everybody's ass, then all of a sudden you can't pull it with us, And that's probably the reason a lot of people aren't wanting to go that route.
Right.
Alex, that's an interesting question, especially given some of the people who are in the room here tonight. There are. What is it? What does Walt have? He has a Rivian.
Yeah, Walt's got a Rivian that he's sled pulled before. Local guy, Darren Gilbert, he's got a garden tractor for his son, and he's got a small tire Mini for himself that are both electric. And he was one of the first in this. God, he was doing electric in this area. God, 2017, I think he was doing that. I mean, he was in on that deal early.
Let's get old Edison Motors down here with their semi and hook onto the sled and see what it does.
Sure.
It'd be an interesting one, but he's way, way out west. He'd be out with the Cali boys before he'd come out here probably, but I don't know. For me, it's. I mean, the hard part is like the noise is part of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be like watching a tractor pull on the live stream on mute, essentially.
Yeah.
But for you, Charles, your voice is gonna suck by the end of the night because you got to talk the entire way of the pass because it's not making any noise.
Well, not only that, you have to make the tractor and truck noises too.
Yeah. There was a Rivian that pulled up here. I wasn't there the night it did. There was a Rivian that did pull up here as well.
I've seen that video.
Yeah.
And he did very well, did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did. And Tony and I had talked to one time about, he had a chassis sitting there. What if we put dual motors in it and made it a 4-wheel drive electric pulling truck, or even drag truck it, just to see, what can we do to try and be a little more on the forefront of some of this stuff. But there's only so much time in a day too.
Well, my assertion has always been, and every time you see one of these videos come up, and whoever posts it for the shock value, no pun intended. You get 16 pages of, oh, that's stupid, I don't watch that. And then, my assertion has always been, you know what, for every one of those electric pickups or, whatever, something new, something different, somebody in a pro stock class, an 85 limited pro, a hot farm, a light limited, somebody's watching that. And somebody's going to watch and see something that they do or that truck does. And he's going to say, I wonder if there's an application here. Mark my words, within 5 to 10 years, it may be less, somebody is going to take something from an EV or a hybrid, and they're going to adapt it to their pulling tractor. And when they get it figured out, they're going to whoop some ass and make some people look real stupid for about 2 weeks until it's deemed illegal. It's kind of how innovation kind of works in this sport. But
Yep.
I think that it is coming. I mean, shoot, let's, we can shift gears a little bit here because we actually did have a kind of a last minute guest. Kyle Jackson's in the green room right now. And actually, it's not even a green room. As I'm looking at it, that must be
He's
his.
got kind of a cooler room than
yeah, he is that's like an eighth of the instruments that Kyle owns, based on some other photos that I've seen. But I mean, let's kind of shift gears and bring him in here because
you got to say what your classes are. Or your class is.
I'm torn. Light Pro or Light Limited Super. There's no Light Limited Super out here. Not really. I have to travel a couple hours to see it. ECI runs it. But Light Pro is super entertaining to me right now. And what those guys are doing and the power those guys are making is just absurd.
I'd say the same about those two classes as well. I just got to travel too far to get to them.
Yep. So, but let's continue on the idea of like innovating and doing different stuff. And the reason that I asked Kyle to join us tonight, and let's just bring him in. There he is. Is because Kyle and I are both going antique pulling tomorrow. I haven't been down to Sigourney for the Spring Nationals. I think that's what it's called. And I was looking at pictures tonight. It's been 6 years since I've been down there. So I'm pretty jacked to get back down there. I want to see what those guys are up to. It's been a while since I've been to any antique pulls, but
and I'm jealous you're going because Sigourney's like OG indoor antique pull, and I've never been.
100%, and it's a fun show. I mean, you get all the fun bunch there.
Sure do.
And you get ridiculous things like foot races and component chair tosses and things like that that happen. You know what I'm talking about. Long live the Kang.
Long live the Kang.
So, but and I know lots of you guys, because I know lots of the names and lots of you who are watching have been to antique pulls and seen what some of these guys can do, guys and girls, can do with these tractors. But I mean, there's an 1130 cubic inch 2-cylinder in the works right now. And yeah, that's a big ass motor though. I mean, 2 cylinders, 1100 cubes.
I've driven an 800 and it'll rattle your teeth. I can't imagine what that would do.
I mean, there's what, probably 20, maybe 30,000 cube G's out there running around right now. Maybe less than that.
I don't know if it's quite that many, but there's a few. Yeah.
We'll see them tomorrow. I'm sure of it. And you'll know because, I mean, like I said, when I posted some photos tonight, you use 32 cylinders to shake the ground. That's cute. Yeah. These guys do it with 2. If
there's any dust in the rafters, you're going to knock it down.
And it'll readjust a pacemaker, and it'll scare the ever-loving bejesus out of you if you're not prepared for it. I remember Paul Queck did it with Oh, that tractor that's painted up like the Hawkeye, or like a Hawkeye,
Hawkeye deer.
black and gold. The Hawkeye deer. He whacked the throttle when my back was turned in Lincoln, probably 5-6 years ago, and that thing hit so hard because I was fairly close by, and I jumped a mile. I'm sure if Melissa Hyder was watching, if she had seen me, she would have died laughing.
She is watching.
So, but anyway, Kyle, thanks for joining us, man.
For whatever reason, we cannot hear you.
Kyle, you need to turn on you need to use your words.
Is that?
Hey, now we're cooking with gas, maybe.
Nope. Hit the unmute button.
Oh, hang on.
Hit the unmute.
I got it.
Hold on.
Maybe.
Nope.
Yeah, I
Your
can't
words.
unmute either.
Hit the
Yeah.
mute button. The mute button.
There we go. I'm an idiot.
Hey,
There it
There
is.
you
I
go.
had muted it when I undid my headphones to check something, and I'm in.
All
But
right.
yeah, I try to use headphones, but it's probably better this way because if my wife, if the two boys are acting like the two boys normally do upstairs, I'll know to go up there. So well, that's why. Because it's not the 2-month-old that's the problem. Not that he's the problem. It's the 2-year-old that is now my responsibility. That has now become the terrorizer of the entire house.
That's your
It's
kid,
never a
not
problem
her
until
kid.
they're 10 months old because they can't walk yet.
Yeah, that's
then
the
they become tyrants.
Yeah,
for a little
I
while.
thought the first one when we had Glenn, it was like this is it wasn't too bad off the get go, but then with the second one, I forgot that now I'm responsible for the older one, and he's just all energy. We'll see. Our joke is that this summer, if halfway through the year there's no more videos on the Bibster's Repair channels because I can't be out till 2 a.m. at tractor pulls in the middle of the summer anymore.
All right, well, hold on. Let's back you up because there's a lot of people who are watching tonight who have no idea who you are. So tell us who you are and how you got into this. Because I don't even know if these guys know.
I'm Kyle Jackson, my real name, but everyone calls me Bibster because I'm a big guy and I was tired of my butt crack showing, so I started wearing bib overalls to go on a 4-wheeler trip in 2012 or 13 and never looked back. So, and I got around. I've always been a lover of tractor pulls when I was a kid, but we never were involved in it at all. Like we would just go once in a while. And then as I got older, I kind of got into antique stuff. Like I went to, I bought a Farm LM, and my buddies, there was the tractor show I was at, and they had a sled there, and I hooked up to it. And as they say, you hook once, you're like, oh, that wasn't that bad. I think the problem is they had me placed. They got me like 3rd place or something, which I'm not really sure if I deserve 3rd place, but it got me hooked. And so I started doing that. And from there, I started filming stuff during the old fun COVID virus. And after that, I just started taking my camera wherever I would go. So antique tractor pulls, I started filming that. And then I bugged ECI enough that I filmed some stuff with them, doing some live streams with Done Right TV. They do circle track stuff. I was working with them. And after that, I started, Ryan Cheek was like, hey, yeah, here's a pit pass if you show up, because I was going to announce a couple of their polls. And lo and behold, they couldn't get rid of me. So last year I think I missed 2 of their polls. And this year I'm planning on only missing either Manchester or Wyoming because they're on the same day. So I haven't cloned myself quite yet.
Right.
If you figure it out, please let me know.
Yeah. Share, please.
But yeah, I started announcing in 2017. That's actually when I accidentally, and I kind of started the story with Ryan. I was working at a trucking company, and we were doing a lawnmower race on a Saturday afternoon. And I showed up. My buddy that's an auctioneer had his auctioneer truck to announce it. And I was just talking to him, and he's like, I have no idea. I'm like, well, I'll try. So I just started. I did like the driver introductions. And by the time I got done doing the driver introductions, he's like, yeah, you're good. So he left. And, I did that race, having no idea what lawnmower racing was, and then did a couple of their national races after that, and then basically asked anybody that would give me a mic to let me talk.
Who was your auctioneer friend?
Chuck Lindsay.
Okay, I've heard the name. I don't know him, but
yeah, he does.
Obviously, I work with a lot of auctioneers, so
yeah. Oh yes, yeah, he does a lot around in here. He used to do. I'm not sure how much he does. It's kind of like he got into it. He does about 15 different little things in auctioneering on top of that. So
yeah.
But yeah, so that's how I kind of got started, like I said. And then I was, for like 2 years, I would ask every motorsport around, like, hey, do you ever need somebody? Need someone to fill in? And a few people took, and they're probably regretting it to this day. But because now they can't get rid of me.
You're like the bad penny, huh?
Oh yeah, for sure. So
Nice.
mud bogs and demos, and it's a wide range. I have to vary my level of stupidity depending on the sport. It's a varying degree. Like
I honestly just had the opinion of you, like from Sheldon, being like penny, but yet you're like, hey, need an auctioneer, need an announcer. Like
It was-
I just had, I don't know why, but for some
it was
reason,
100% that I would be like cold, not mostly cold. I mean, it's almost to the point of like cold calling tracks. Like, hey, if you ever need somebody, I'll try. Because I figured if they'd let me do it once, because I'd be a little. If they liked it, they would have me come back. And so far, it usually worked. But yeah, like I always say, you have a level of like motorsports kind of goes from like redneck to more distant sides of redneck sports, and depending on what level you're at, like mud bogs, you're at one level. Tractor pulls, you're a little bit classier. Then you go to demo derbies, you can really just take all the class away and say what you want. So
yeah.
it depends on your crowd too. Like last year when my buddy John Isaacs, who announces with me a lot at ECI, when we were like at Sigourney, man, we were just, it was all holds. You could pretty much, it was a free show there. And then you get up to sometimes a couple of up in Northern Iowa was doing. I was like, ooh, crowd's not quite responding the way that the Sigourney crowd was. They were into it. It was 4th of July. I think they'd all been partaking more.
You'll have that.
Yeah.
That show's usually a fun show, the summer show. I've been there a few times. That was, gosh, a long time ago. I always wanted to get back, but
yeah,
that was always a fun show. The grounds are really good for it. They've got, for those of you who've never been, it's your kind of prototypical or your typical track with hillside seating, and everybody brings the lawn chairs and the blankets, and it's a good time. And when I went, you got kind of a real mixed bag. You got some Twin States, you got ECI, you got a handful of different things. I don't know what shows there now. I think ECI kind of runs that show during the summer, right?
Yeah, we still co-sanction it with Twin States, so they bring in, I think 3 or 4 of their classes. They do like I think it's like 3 classes, and they have a class at the end that's basically like almost like an open class, so everybody comes back out for one more hook. But they do like their 4,500-pound light 2-wheel drive trucks. I like that class a lot because it's something you don't see all the time, and seeing an S10 at that stock body length with a small block at 8,000 RPM is always a good time. And they'll bring a couple classes. Usually about an hour of the show is Twin States, and then we'll come in and finish the night out and hopefully be done before fireworks.
Nice.
Is the goal. Because otherwise it makes it a long night. If you have to wait till the fireworks show's over and the crowd leaves, then you're trying to pull like probably 466s. So.
And ECI 466s, they put on a damn good show.
Yeah, I'm a little partial just because, like I always say ECI is my home. But so like I'm always like, well, most classes do, but yeah, that 466 class, especially post 2020 when the world shut down and no sanctioning bodies would have them, we'd get like 20, 25 466s showing up. And so some of those guys have kind of been like, oh, we like running with this club, so we'll show up. And we had a couple guys come out of Illinois that just kind of built a tractor and couldn't find a club for it. So hopefully they come back this year for that.
Did you guys see a lot of Wisconsin hot farms come out when Iowa could pull and nobody else could? Did you see some Badger State hot farms?
I'm not the guy to answer that because I was still doing dirt track stuff. I did a couple polls, but I think they did. I think they were, because Badger State shut the season down, so I think they pretty much anybody that wanted to pull, and a lot of guys didn't because they didn't know what the world was happening. But
right,
so yeah. But obviously, we have probably 10 pullers that come out of Wisconsin. I think maybe. I'm trying to think of all the states where they're coming from between our class, with the Zenz brothers and the light limited super stocks, and then you got some of our guys come down, and obviously of the 4-1s. Because we have a few out of Wisconsin.
Yep.
So. But yeah.
I gotta post that comment because I know that to be true. They were pulling until like 3 a.m. Alex's hometown pull in Northwest Missouri. There was nowhere else for a lot of these guys to go, and so Yeah, they ended up having one whale of a show. So, yeah, 4 a.m. Jeez,
Ugh.
that gets. I think the latest I've ever been out is I want to say 1:30 or 2, but
3:40 a.m. was the worst, and that was because of a rain delay.
I remember that. I remember you were
4th of
sending.
July weekend.
Yeah, you were messaging.
Yeah.
You were messaging us in IQ of 5 about that all late into the
And
evening.
my stupid ass drove back down here. I pulled in my driveway at a little after 6 and watched the sun come up. Slept for like 3 hours and turned around and went back up there to do the next day.
Oh,
Woof.
Yeah.
that's why I'm not. That's why I'm staying in Sigourney tomorrow night, because otherwise I had thoughts of that. I'm like, well, I could just drive home and then come back, but I'm like, ugh. If I drive home, I'm gonna edit the video. And if I edit the video, then I don't sleep, and then it's bad time.
Where do you live at?
Where is home? Where is home for you?
So I'm in Clinton, Iowa. So if you
Okay.
think of Iowa like the nose, like we're the booger. We're right there on the road.
I don't know if I've ever heard.
I've never heard that before, but
It's-
damn if that doesn't deserve a T-shirt.
If you come through our town and you smell the world, you'll be like, oh, that's why I call it a booger, because we're the nose.
When I lived in Cedar Rapids, everyone, they call it the city of 5 seasons, and if you live there, you call it the city of 5 smells, because you have Cargill, Penford, ADM, Quaker, and General Mills, and they all have a different smell. And let me tell you, if you smelled what Honey Nut Cheerios when they were being made smelled like, you wouldn't eat them.
Oh,
It's bad. But
yeah. We have like all in one strip. We have your ADM, so that's like a variety of smells between, like, sometimes it smells like stale beer, other times it smells like other things, and then we have national byproducts, which is just dead animals. So on a hot summer day on that part of town, you're just like, roll the windows up, kids. We can't have nothing going on.
Yeah. Don't breathe. Woof.
No, don't. I used to work my first job in high school was down by there, and we used to rent equipment to them, and never a fun time. Never a fun time.
yeah.
So yeah, that's home for me. So I always, with like Eastern Iowa, we always talk about like East Central Iowa. Like I'm on the very edge. So everything for me with them is about 2 hours. It's about a 2-hour drive is what I like. When we get into like the Waverly and Osage and that, then you start, those get late nights, but it's only one night a week, or it's only one time a summer, so it's not terrible.
So how far is it for you? How far of a ride is it for you to get to Sigourney?
About 2.5 hours.
Is it?
So too bad. Yeah, it's right in that like sweet spot. I'll leave at like 5 a.m. or something stupid, and be half asleep when I get there, and be half asleep all day, and hopefully then I'll wake up by the time I have to go to sleep in my car on the way home.
There you go. You go. So how long have you been covering the antiques in Sigourney?
This will be my 3rd year. So I went, and 2021 I went on Saturday. Last year I just went on Friday because my niece's birthday party was the next day, and obviously I was not going to try and be cashing that check of, sorry, I can't come to my niece's 2nd birthday. I'm going to be at a tractor pull when all summer long I'm at tractor pulls. So this will be my first year covering both days. So I'm excited about that.
I now have a story to tell like that too, about not being able to cash a check. Most of you guys don't know this, but my sister got engaged fairly recently, and last week she texted me. She said, "Hey, we chose June 8th to get married." Some of you are furiously consulting calendars. The Schulte boys already know where this is going.
I think I know where this is going.
I'm out of a poll that same weekend because my son's graduation party will be that weekend as well.
Well,
I'm out of the poll that weekend because I'll be in Arkansas that weekend too.
Well, good luck, Kyle. We're all depending on you.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's going to be.
You get to cover them all.
That should be far. I was about to say there's a poll, but I don't think I can film it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Which, I mean, technically last year I probably wasn't actually filming it. I told myself I was going to go to that poll to enjoy it, and I can't physically do that. So I grabbed a piece of notepaper and started filming the first tractor that came out because I'm a broken human. But yeah, so that's how I was like,
we're all broken humans, man. It's okay.
I was like, if I can go to that and just watch, or maybe, spend that that Saturday before all the other Saturdays of the summer gone, probably too bad.
Yeah, so I had to tell RJ that last night. So I did get a little bit of clarification on what that partnership and that exclusive broadcast agreement really does mean. It really does mean the filming for still photos, at least for now, I believe are safe. So for any of you who are taking pictures at NTPA shows, I don't think that you're going to get a lot of static there. If you're trying to film classes from the stands, or you're trying to, be on the track or whatever, and put them up on YouTube, they're going to put the brakes on that pretty hard.
Just GN level or everything?
As far as I know, just GN level. I think it would be awfully difficult to replicate that out through regions.
Mainly because they don't live stream that anyway.
Right. So, but that's I had a nice chat with RJ while he was hauling anhydrous bottles last night, and that was what he told me. And I had to fall on my sword and say, RJ, thank you for making, for interceding for us. I will make no bones about it and say that RJ's pull is one of my very favorite to shoot. From a photo perspective, I don't think that there is a better layout for a track based on the way that I shoot it. So for me, there's nothing. There's no show that I enjoy more than shooting that, just because the pictures typically come out really nice. And you get to see great iron. That track is a monster. For those of you in Iowa and Wisconsin who have never made the drive, and I kind of scanned the comments a little bit, and pretty much everybody who has made a comment, if you're in that area, I know I've seen you there, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't think there's a better track as far as the high horsepower classes go. It takes a lot to bring a pro stock to its knees, but I watched multiples do serious damage because of the way that track is built.
And for those of you that don't know, it's on a racetrack. So
no, it's not.
Well,
check yourself.
The pole is on a racetrack.
It's at a racetrack.
Well, you're going to let me finish, or are you going to interrupt me?
No, I'm going to keep interrupting you until you get it right.
It's on a racetrack. It is in the middle of a racetrack.
So then technically it's not on a racetrack, huh?
You want to go there? Charles is getting his fingers ready for some comment over on the board, I'm telling you right now. But
no, I'm just fixing the problem with the mute button.
Okay, so it is in the bowl of the racetrack, on the property of the racetrack. And it sets up for beautiful pictures and beautiful viewing, because you have stands that are the full length of all of that.
Yep.
And the dirt there is phenomenal for the pulling and what they've got set up there. So he's not wrong in anything he said. So I've been there once, and I wish I could go this year, but I'll be in Arkansas this year. So
the reason that I gave you so much shit about that, though, was because the first pole that RJ ever held was actually on the front stretch of the track in 2018, and it didn't turn out the way he wanted it. And it was, pulling on a racetrack, an honest to God racetrack. And that's when he and Brandon and Roger started mulling over, well, what can we do to create a better pulling surface? And that's where that track actually came from. It was after the I don't know, spring knock the dust off kind of pull that he had in like early May at the racetrack, but it was actually on the front stretch, and it was impossible to make that dirt work.
And your hauler will be parked on gravel, not dirt, on gravel. So, everywhere in the pits has gravel to park on, and they have a lot of gravel. I'm sure he knows how many loads of gravel he brought into that place, but it is astronomical. So it's a great venue.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, like, because it's not on the track front stretch,
There you go.
You're sitting up high enough you can see the whole thing, but it's not like you're sitting above the action like in the top level of Louisville. Like you're sitting to where you can see a nice view of everything. So it's a good venue.
Yeah,
it's a good track.
Yeah, there's no bad seats in that house. So I told RJ, and first thing out of his mouth, because he doesn't know where my sister lives. My sister lives back in Michigan. He says, does she want to get married there? I have an event center, and he does. Like right behind the grandstands is an event center. And the first time he had that pole, the Farley Nationals, they actually had a wedding going on the day of. And so it was I think a little loud because
indoor
ran all the noise classes as well as pros and Alki Supers and I want to say maybe Super Farms, but
indoor or outdoor wedding?
Huh?
Indoor or outdoor?
Well, it was a reception, but it was in the building, and you've been in that building, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I got drinks there, I think, one night.
We spent a lot of time in there,
Yeah.
I'm gonna need 2 DJs because I need to be loud.
Right. So anyway, but that's the free plug for RJ's show. If you've never been, please do what you can to get to that show. It is 100,000% a show worth supporting. It's one of the best tracks I have ever seen, if not the best track that I have ever seen. It's a good show. Moves fast. There isn't a bad seat in the house. So,
yep.
But anyway, that's not why we brought you on, Kyle. Let's talk Sigourney.
Oh yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited too because antique, like a lot of the community club out of southern Wisconsin, it's like community antique tractor pullers, I think is what it is. Yeah, bunch of them are going to be headed down there. So I'm excited about. Mostly, it's kind of a it's almost like a family get together, seeing all of them, and usually ends up with it'll be a pretty late. It's a late night of pulling, and it's a late night after pulling as well.
Mm-hmm.
Anything. Because they were one of the clubs that were early on me, when I was quote unquote cold calling clubs to announce for them. They had me do their, I think it's Edgerton, I think is what it was. It was a 2-day. They did a bracket pull Friday night and then a regular pull Saturday, and I announced both of those for them. And that was the infamous sleeping in a tent. That's a bad idea if you're an announcer because your voice is shot the next morning. And I was like,
yeah.
Boy.
So let me back up here for a second. You're running a camera and announcing at the same time?
Not anymore. Well, okay. At ECI, if I'm announcing ECI, I still attempt to film. Okay. So, like last year, if you watch my Sigourney video, it's from the announcer booth. Tripolle's, or I say that wrong all the time, that's from the announcer booth. Washington's from the announcer booth. Because we usually have 2 announcers. So, like, if I'm working with John Isaacs, like, he kind of knows, like, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I'll set the mic down, grab my camera, which is actually my phone. I'm a hack. And try and like really fast, try and film it, and then set the phone back down, write the distance down so I have my notes correct. Grab the mic, say it. And if you get a chance to watch, it's half the show is me trying to like do all stuff. And then one poll last year I was by myself, and that was terrible because by the time that poll was over, I was ready to be done and have a 3-hour drive home.
You just duct tape the phone to the microphone so you can do both at the same time.
Well, so this year I bought a nicer gimbal, so I'm gonna try some stuff out, but yeah, it's basically like it's usually dumb. Like I shouldn't film when I'm announcing, but the hack in me is like, oh man, this is good. Like I get that, like this is good this is good content, and I want to make sure I'm trying to like complete a season, so I might as well film it.
Yeah,
usually works. But
so 3 years into announcing at Sigourney. What's that like far as getting to know some of the people, or in being able to talk to when they pull up to the line, being able to talk to that aspect?
Well, actually at Sigourney, I don't get the chance to talk to all the pullers just because of where I'm at filming is near the end. And usually I'm like But whenever I get to like meet people or talk to people that are usually around me when they're filming, they'll figure out like, oh, what's this guy doing? It's just a super great facility, and it's a great group of people. Like antique guys, they're competitive. Like everyone's competitive, but there's also like a realization that the fact of the matter is we don't get thousands of people to come watch antique tractor pulling. Like I love it, but it's if you're not involved in it, you're gonna go and go, wow, these guys are going 4 miles an hour. But then when you think about like, wow, these guys got 800 cubic inches trying to turn 700 RPM at 4 miles an hour. How do they make that carburetor work? Because you got a piston the size of a paint can, and you're trying to make a carburetor work so that thing actually makes power. And that's where like when you think of that science on it, it makes it all really interesting. But to the the general pulling fan that wants to see a pro stock go 30 mile an hour with 50 foot of black smoke, it can be tough to get that over there. So I try and even like when I am announcing antique, I try and bring a little more of the energy sometimes too. I think sometimes you get to some of the antique pulls and it's kind of like the next up is so and so on their John Deere G. All right, and if you can kind of get the crowd into it a little bit and help them to know what's going on too. That's my biggest thing with announcing is like, no matter what it's been, is trying to explain like this is this class and this is what it means and this is this class versus, hey, it's another class of tractors that looks similar to the last class. And to the Joe Schmo in the crowd, you don't know a hot farm from a pro stock, other than speed, because they don't. If you don't know the difference, you won't know. And the more people get into it, then the more they're gonna go, oh, pro stocks are there. I want to go to that. Oh, I really like watching hot farm. I want to go to that because I see that they're on the schedule. Versus just like I'm going to a tractor pull to go to the tractor pull. That is very true, Brian. $80,000 antiques, which is why I film, because I can't afford an $80,000 antique. My M is purely stock. It's been in a barn for 2 years because I started filming for that reason.
Yeah, and Brian really is not exaggerating. I mean, everybody, like the Light Pro and 4-1s, those guys are having the debate about component chassis and all that. You're starting to see guys kind of putting together some variations on component chassis for antiques because they're making that much power or that much torque. I don't know that, I shoot one antique show a year, so I'm the last person who's qualified to talk about that. But suffice it to say that what these folks are doing with antiques and in terms of making power and making high-tech parts will absolutely blow your mind. I don't know if we've had I don't know if anybody's made a billet block or a billet two banger yet. It wouldn't be terribly surprising if someone told me that they had.
Yeah.
But I mean, and Kyle's not joking when he says, pistons the size of paint cans. Those things are friggin' huge, just insane huge. So yeah. When they crack the throttle, even if they're only moving 4 miles an hour or even 6 or the wide open glass where they run 9 miles an hour or 12, it's still something to watch.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more. And not taking, when I say this, I don't take it away from any other form of pulling, but there's so much more driver input too when you're going that speed, because a little wiggle at the beginning, like where you get the sled, like you actually are moving the sled to different parts of the track versus the big guys got to place the track where it's place the sled where they want to go. And they hope that the sled doesn't really move versus the antique. You'll see guys at 50 foot being like, I want to go over there now. And they'll, go to the other side of the track, trying some dirt over there. Or if you're, that your local club sled goes off of wheel speed, not off of actual laser shot, you might give it a wiggle to get that extra foot so you don't end up in the same hole as your buddy. But and so there's a lot of driving in it. There's also the same, you do see a lot of follow the leader that you see in other ones. Some guys are going to go out there and they read the track yesterday, so they think, let's go where they're at.
But there's a lot of them guys that they if Charles, he was back in here, he'd say the same thing. You learn how to drive at that level,
Yeah.
Because you have that much longer to go, and it takes you longer to get down the track, and you learn to feel the tractor, the feel of the track, and you learn as you know. And a lot of guys they grew up that way, and that they say that's what made them the driver they are today because they learned how to read the track and feel the track, and it makes that much all more. So,
like for me, there's the only way that I could learn to be a competitive driver in a big tractor, a fast tractor class, would be to spend years and years in a mile an hour class or an antique class or a mile an hour class, or for those of you who are familiar with Michigan rope class pulling, it's the only way that I could possibly learn. I'm not a heavy equipment operator. I can't feel anything in my ass. You get these guys like Brent Gaffney is a terrific example. He used to drive the Remedy for Jason Schultz. And he could drive the absolute wheels off of that thing. He drives the Super Farm for Casey and Corey Fritz once in a while. And he's made laps on several hot farms and yada, yada, yada. Brent runs heavy equipment for a living. He can feel the tiniest movement, or the tiniest change in dirt and how his machines react to it just from the seat. I ain't never going to have that because I haven't grown up running big loaders and stuff like that like he has.
You get a D6 dozer over the pivot point, and you might pucker up a little bit and learn to go backwards.
You think?
I figured you'd be like concrete pulling where you're throwing your weight back and forth and getting the feel for that.
See, Kyle and I would kick ass at that. We really would. We absolutely would.
I got all the movable weight. I like shift to the left or the right, and I can actually change something.
Yes, 100%. Me too.
I would really like to see that in person. Like I remember years ago when I found that on YouTube, and I was like, "What is this?" Like I had no idea that was a thing because we don't see it out here. I live in Southwest Iowa, so you don't see it out here. It's not a thing. And I was just like, "This is kind of cool." So one of these years, it'd be fun to go out there and kind of see that. Just different atmosphere, and you have a lot of the, they're not high horsepower track or high speed tractors because that's not the goal of the event. Mm-hmm. So,
yep.
But it's cool.
Yeah.
Different form of tractor pulling right there.
Now, I will also say that there are a couple of places. I think Tunica is one of them where you get to where the antique guys get to actually run them balls out and run balls to the wall. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when I say balls to the wall, I mean, we're not reversing the direction of the earth here. We're 12 mile an hour, 13 mile an hour, but hearing a 2-cylinder wide open sounding like it's about to come apart at, 11, 12 miles an hour, that's something else. That's pretty wild to watch. And thank you, Brian Lively, for doing what you do with Tunica, because that was the first place I ever saw or heard that was when you did a live stream and you had whatever that class actually was. It was pretty awesome to listen to. And I wish I could have seen that in person. And I know they don't run anything that fast at Sigourney. I don't know what the top mile an hour is there. 6, 8?
No, they might have an 8 or a 9 because they run like an open in a few of the weight classes. Because if you're not paying attention or used to watching the guy come down at 4 mile an hour and then the guy comes down at like 10, it'll get you. It'll get you right now. But I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking back last year, and I don't have my notes in front of me of like the mile per hour for everybody. But I think they were going a pretty good clip to be indoors, and the Packer tractor is at the gate on the other side. That if you have to, you're gonna have to either stop or hit something. So
Ryan,
it's good that they have the Packer tractor there to hit.
Yeah, exactly. There's no
shout out to the Packer tractor drivers.
So Ryan or Charles, is there any event in Michigan that has both the concrete pulling and a regular sled pull?
Mid-Michigan Old Gas Tractor Association, I know does. I think they do both, like their Oakley show, which is in August. But there's a couple of groups that do both. I just don't know if they do them both on the same weekend
or in the same place.
Well, it's the same place. Like Shepherd has facilities for both. I forget where Clintonio pulls. Their facility has room for both. Remus, I think, used to, but Remus said they're not doing any pulls this year at all. So there's places you can do it. I just don't know if they do it the same weekend like that.
I think that'd be, like I said, I still think that'd be a neat event to go to sometime.
I still a place in Wisconsin, and my buddy, I don't know if he's watching, Matt Butler, always tells me about it, and I always forget to go, where they still do the people get on the sled.
Really?
Yeah, step on, because it was when I was going up to Wisconsin a couple of years ago, quite a bit for antique stuff. I talked about. He's like, yeah, there's still a place that does that. I was like, what? So, because at that point I was joking around that I was going to be the last guy to step on, and just I'd stop them all. But I definitely want to try. I definitely want to go. It's on my to-do list to go see it, and if it's with the right group, I'll probably get involved in it. It's gonna be hilarious because I'll probably again be trying to film every hook because I'm broken in that sense. I can't just go to an event and.
You're like the rest of us. We're all broken.
Yeah,
yeah. People are like, just
if you want to call this a support group, that's fine. It's okay.
Because everybody's like, well, just come enjoy the event.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands because I'm used to going like this, you know?
Oh, 100.
I'm a bad spectator.
Yeah, I can't.
100%.
I'll like be like going, or I'll be. I went like by the end of last year, if I was somewhere and I couldn't film, which I don't even remember. I don't know what motorsport I went to that I couldn't. I didn't film. Not that I couldn't, but it was just weird to be like. I think I did a couple demo derbies that I was doing I was announcing for the live streams, and it was weird to just talk. Like I was like, I don't have to try and hold things. I just gotta say that this guy hit this guy, and now they're gonna punch each other. Apparently, that's fun. Actually, most of my demos, I always say it's. Of all the demos that I've announced, because I announced we got some pretty wild ones around here. We had some wild experiences last summer, but it's always in the stance. Like a dude will door another guy, like not on purpose, just it happens. And somebody's mom's second cousin's niece is like yelling at that was a door hit. And I'm like, he was moving forward too. Like I'm number one. I'm the announcer. Don't bring this to me. I'm not the guy. Number two.
Yeah.
Okay.
PSA on behalf of all announcers: we are not the track officials. We are not the tech official.
Yeah.
It's not our job. Don't come to us, please.
Leave us alone.
Yeah, we just want to. We're just paid to talk relatively smart, which on my scale, it's a lower scale. You're getting that. You're getting in on that bottom tier goofiness. My Mudbog guys I run with, and it's a great club I work with. It's we have a really cool property called the Peat Monster, and there's motocross and demo derbies and Mudbogs all the same property, not all on the same day anymore. It used to be, but that was wild. But the Mudboggers would come to me and be like, well, can I do this in that class? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I technically know, but I can't tell you can. Like, sure. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, go ahead. I don't care. Like, don't tell them I said yes. It gets the show moving. My gosh, some of those guys. And
the guy in the bib said it was okay. It was legal.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, he probably did. Yeah, because it seems like, I mean, I'm sure all sports have that, where you'll have the guy that just does not want to come to the line. You're like, dude, the show was waiting for you. Please entertain me longer with you trying to start your truck. My Mudbog guys seem to do that. They'll be like, my truck won't start. Like, it just did start. Why'd you shut it off? Like, you're a stock truck. It shouldn't get that hot. No one's really
Here's
stopped.
a can of ether. Make it happen. Let's go.
Yeah. Here's a can of ether and a jump pack. Go.
Yeah.
The crowd everyone's staring at me, and I can't make anything funny. See, I thought that there was open speed. Allison, you put the egg in there. I thought there was, but I wasn't for sure. So I didn't want to say there was, and then somebody tomorrow shows up and goes 20 mile an hour down there. The Bibster told me I could. I'm not the rule guy.
I went to, we talked about like not sure what to do. I went to one show once. I was working late. It was Rock Valley. And I got there and there was like a quarter of a class left. I was like, you know what? I'm actually going to sit down and enjoy this class. Bad idea. You got 6.5 inches of rain that night. Canceled the next day. So, fun fact. Ryan and Charles, I was at Rock Valley.
This is a funny story.
No, shut your mouth. And you can.
It's a hilarious story. Charles and I are laughing for a reason.
No, because that asshole up in that corner, they canceled the show. So I was like, I said, you know what? It's 3.5 hours to Rockwell, Iowa, from Rock Valley.
Well, hold on.
No.
Qualify what show got canceled.
Rock
it was
Valley.
Rock Valley that got canceled. Okay.
Rock Valley got canceled. And so I sat down in a chair with some friends, and I watched the last quarter of the last class tonight. And I was like, well, since they cancel it, I got time. I can make it to Rockwell. Ryan and Charles are there. And the whole time I'm like texting Ryan. He's like, yep, we're good to go. I shit you not. I pull into the parking lot. It canceled 10 minutes. It's a 3.5 hour drive. It was canceled 10 minutes before I get there.
Again, I'm just the announcer. I'm just the announcer at Rockwell. I'm not the canceller.
But he was the one that was running the social media of, hey, the show's canceled post. And
he wasn't the canceller either. He did it when he was told to.
I wasn't the canceller either. Don't throw this on me.
But still did not answer his phone as I'm sitting in the parking lot. Like, why the fuck are all these people leaving? And I get on social media, it's canceled. Every poll in the state of Iowa is canceled that weekend. But I was like, I just drove 3.5 hours after I drove 4 hours to get to that show. And now I'm 4.5 hours from home.
Was that the year we got the first class through, I think, on both tracks, and Pro Stocks were up next?
No. That was that was when we all went out for Mexican. San Pico Dave bought. That was when I got in so much trouble because of the internet destroyed me because I went live on Facebook and I asked Jeff Hodem as we were all leaving, Jeff, are we going to pull tonight? And he turns around and jumps around and goes, yes! I said, yeah, you heard it there. And by the time we got from the restaurant to the track, we weren't pulling anymore.
Things changed.
Yeah. Noah started building an ark in the pits and, animals were marching 2 by 2. And, it was like biblical proportions. And then I think 3 days later, that was when... I think that was when we had the derecho, wasn't it? Was that 2020 or 21?
No.
That was 21, I thought.
Maybe it was 21.
Yeah, that was on Sunday morning because I remember waking up and I looked out the window and I told you, I'm out of here, dude. I'm beating this. And
I remember that. I remember that because I think didn't you go to Ohio for a show? You left early and hauled the mail and
I'm trying to remember if
somewhere for an OSTPA show.
I think I did. I can't remember where I went, but I think I did.
Yeah. Anyway, Allison, thank you for checking in. It was good to hear from you. I will see you tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. I haven't been down there in 6 years, and I've always had a blast when I've been down there. Those guys, the antique crew. Those guys know how to have fun.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
You'll never laugh harder than to hang out with those guys for an entire day. Your sides will hurt.
Yes, they will. And you will see all manner of competitive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Foot races coupled with beer chugging and yada yada yada. It's something else. It's fun. All I can say is if you're in central eastern Iowa, maybe consider making the trip. Sigourney's a fun time. There's a lot of great people there, and you'll see where kind of the roots and maybe some of the future of where our sport is going. You'll see it there.
And it's going to be like 60 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Last year, it literally snowed into the building while I was standing there, and
that does happen there too.
That was the only poll we talked about leaving early. Last year on Friday, it was 8:30. I did the math, and there was an hour and a half to 2 hours of polling left. I had been filming since 9 a.m., and I was like, you know what? I think I've seen enough, and I left. And I remember I texted my wife on the way home, and she's like, "You left early?" She's like, "Oh," I'm like, I'm cold. I can't. I'm like. I drive an $800 Honda home. I got bald tires at that time, still sketchy tires. And I'm like, I should probably just head home. I'm done. So I was like,
there was one year out there. I think this was going back probably, I don't know, 10, 12, maybe 15 years ago. It was so cold there. They couldn't blade the track because it was frozen. They just kept pulling on it.
Woof.
The concrete pulls, I guess. I mean, a couple of those.
Yeah.
Where they pull
let's take a quick detour. Hartman, good to see you. Hopstead Hustlers for the win. Charles, can you address that percentage pulls? I have no idea, or anybody.
I'm trying to think the last time I heard about one around here, and it's been a while.
What is a percentage pull?
Gosh, it's been so long since I even went. Actually, I've never announced one, and it's been forever since I was at one to remember the specifics of it. He'll probably know better than I do. It had to do with keeping going based on, or it was how much you could pull versus what your tractor weighed. Like there was no 8,000 class. It's like, all right, I'm going to try to pull this at 8,000 pounds and see if I can.
Okay.
Brian in the comments might actually be able to help. He's a nice encyclopedia of some of that too. Of when the last time one of those would be.
Huh. Dale, can you elaborate at all? And Dale, at some point in time, by the way, we want you on the show. We want to hear your story. You've got a good one. You and Dad and your brother, God rest his soul. Yeah, you're coming on the show if I have to drag you on myself. But I've heard of those percentage pulls before, but I've never seen one. I have no idea what the rule set is or any of that. And I'll be right back.
I don't know if that was ever a thing much over here. If it was way before my time.
Yeah, it's been, like I said, it's been, I don't know, 10 years, I think, since I've heard about one even going on.
And that was probably the corner of somewhere that hadn't got with the times yet.
Okay.
There are those places.
Yeah.
Or like your county fair that just wants to have every farmer brings his big horse into town for one pull a year, and they're not going to try and a certain weight number.
Hey, those are fun pulls, and Michigan still does a ton of them.
We've got my hometown fair still has a couple classes that their stock out of field tractor classes, no speed limit, and we dyno you.
Oh, I've heard of those.
You know, if you got to be within, I think it's 10% of whatever the book says that thing is supposed to be, and if you're over, and there's been some years where it's turned into a joke. We're down to like 10th place before finding somebody legal.
That's pretty good.
The dyno's getting loose because the fluid in it's getting so hot.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So you don't want to be the first guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be like the 9th guy because that's how that. Yeah. By then the dyno's loosened up a little bit, and
by the time it's not about your draw when you go on the track. It's for your draw for the
right.
Which we had a discussion about that for doing some kind of a 2-day show where you. It was a wild idea. Again, I come from the dirt world, so I see like the draw redraw thing, and I'm like, we should implement something like that where it brings a little bit of excitement to the poll, a little bit more.
It would be cool to, like, look off that comment about the front wheel assist. Like, over in Europe, they have a lot of front wheel assist tractors that are pulling. But I don't think they're engaged, but they're just a lot of front wheel assist pulling tractors.
I don't know. A few of them seem to be in the videos.
Those guys are 100% engaged. Oh, yeah.
I just see the pictures like, that's cool. Like, why don't we have some of that over here? Like,
yes.
I mean, why is that not a thing over here? What's against that?
Is it
same people that are against electronics?
Progress. We don't need it.
Well, and is
We're
it
good
also,
where we are? Thanks.
Is it a little bit like in Europe? They never really had the 1066. Like when they were getting into like their quote unquote muscle tractor era, it was a little bit after that. So most of them were front wheel assist to start. So when you had your farmer in his barn hopping up his tractor, it was already going to be front wheel assist because they are usually smaller farms, and so that might have been some of that in there too. But yeah, I've seen that a lot. I mean, we'll do a front wheel assist pull at like the end of the Bellevue Horsemen's Club pull, which is you want a good old fashioned good time, that's one to hit. That we turn a 1-day show into a 2-day show every year, and they'll do the one year we had like 16 front wheel assist show up, and I know why, because as I was sitting at registration waiting for the thing to start, I heard one of the good old boy farmers was like, he saw on the flyer it said 1,000 added to the purse, and he assumed that meant 1,000 added to every class's purse. So I heard, $1,000 into this. And next thing you know, there's 16 of these stupid things show up that all pull the exact same because it wasn't. It's a pretty short pull, and I'm sitting there. It's like 1 a.m. I'm like, I don't want to watch 16 front wheel assists not do anything. Like they're all gonna do the same. So yeah, that was just. I heard it and I went, oh, I know what's happening. There's phone calls made right now.
We'll allow hot rod FWAs to pull over here, but we're going to have to Americanize the class, of course, which means we're going to have billet bags on the planetaries, blow shields on all U-joints, giant ass ski bars, blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
We'll take all the fun out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, you'll have to have a 5-point harness on your air ride.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm certainly a safety proponent, but sometimes it's like we kill off entire ideas and because we can't dummy proof it.
I'm just saying 2 things. 1, chop top number 2 with a front wheel assist would be badass.
That would be cool.
An old IH with a front wheel assist, like I don't care what model. Oh, those things are, yeah.
Let's throw a little continue the shout out to the Hartmans. Let's do an 88.
I don't
give me a 54 88.
Pick a model. They're all badass.
Let's go.
So.
Oh,
that's cheating, Alex.
I would love to see.
Yeah, we've done some unlimited classes here in the Thumb before. And there's a family up in the Thumb that's they're dairy farmers, and they got a fleet of Colossus tractors, and we couldn't stop them. The sled just we didn't have enough weight. There's nothing we could do to stop them things.
That sounds about right.
The thing is, like, I don't know, if you get to that front wheel assist, I think there's probably a point where you have almost an age limit. Like it's got to be an antique of 20 years or something like that, because again, we don't allow electronics, some of that shit in there, and it gets to be okay. We're a complete different comparing apples to apples anymore.
I just had a funny memory of we had an FWA class at my home fair. I don't remember what we set the weight at, 23,000, 25,000, whatever it was. And this would have been probably a good dozen, maybe 15 years ago now. So there was plenty of electronic tractors in there that were tuned. And we had another guy, a local farmer, who weighted up a P-Pump 4455 and kicked all their asses.
Yes.
And they were pissed.
I'll bet they were.
Yep.
That would have been the best one out there.
Say that again.
Then that would have been the best looking one out there versus the generic bubbles of all the other ones.
Well, yeah, you had all the manatees rolling around out there. And the funny thing was I don't necessarily think that it was that he was making more power than they were. It's just that he picked the gear, and I think he downshifted once the whole run. The other guys in the Nintendo tractors, they can't get down to the next gear fast enough. And it's like watching a military truck. It's just a race into the bottom, and you're making no speed at that point.
So
I want to can we get a judgment call or a clarification here? What constitutes a manatee tractor?
Look in the picture, look in any book you want to look in, and where you see an MX270, that's a manatee tractor.
That's exactly what I thought. It starts at MX.
Starts at MX.
When MX stops.
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
So I don't know why, but I had a random thought. We're talking about EV tractors and electric tractors. What happens when we get to EVs till there's one motor per side, and it is calculated based off of it knows the distance from each side from where they place it, and one wheel is going to go faster than the other one to get that thing to go straight instead of hitting a brake?
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you want to go real deep in the woods, like, my brain is rattling off all sorts of shit. That's just one of them. But is that going to become a thing? It
might.
Is there a way that, okay, flip side, today's world, take EV out. Is there a way to look at mods? One engine drives one side, one engine drives the other side.
Didn't that happen back in like the early 90s?
80s, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking.
80s?
I'm thinking about watching on the YouTube the old like early TNT track was a modified that the guy drove, and it was one set drove one wheel, one drove the other.
He drove with a joystick. It was Wheeler Rittinger.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was called the Outcast, and the engines sit. They're one in front of the other, but they're not directly behind each other. They're offset.
So why didn't that take off? What was the reasoning behind, or like?
I don't think he ever really could make. He didn't. I don't think he made it work consistently. Was the only reason he quit doing it.
Interesting.
It's probably the case of like, I mean, with all how modifieds all are now, it's when there's an equation that works pretty well, everyone's just going to use the same math. You know, the thought of like trying to do something unique and different. It's like, well, I could do that, or I could strap 4 Hemis on it and do good.
But you talk to those guys and they say, you know, the rear end's the limiting factor. Okay, put 2 rear ends in it. One drives one half and one drives the other half.
If you want doing, I'm illegal.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, to Ryan's point, innovation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's driving innovation, and you know, we've said it before. You know, Charles and Tony alluded to it of, you know, who's going to try it, and then it's going to get outlawed. But at that point of what changes that? If the limiting factor on those is the drive line and the rear end, what can we do different? Go back and look at what's been done. Maybe it works better now than it did before his time. So,
I mean, might as well, like, if you like the city slicker, put that thing sideways and put a big chain on the back. I'm sure insurances will love that. But I mean, I think there is something
100%.
to that. Well, and I think is it going to get to the point where like there's kind of a like, this is the maximum power we want to see out of them, or like, you know, as the sanctioning bodies and the sleds, you know, are they kind of at that point of like, we like that these tractors make X amount of horsepower, and we kind of know that if they all start making more, then we got to change. You know, it's gonna cause that development. No one wants to change. You know, no one wants to have to make more innovations like on the sled side of things.
Yeah, they're kind of limited as it is. I mean, to stop some of the heavier classes, the unlimiteds or semis, you have to have 2 sleds there because you need the extra weight. You can't take it down the road on one truck.
Yep.
yeah. I tried to volunteer to take some weights back for Baumgart's from ship, put them in the back of the truck and bring them home. But, you know, he said he's got it. But that's the thing, you know, they're going down the road, you know, in Iowa, it's 80,000. That's it. You know, you're going down the interstate, it's 80,000. So
yeah,
you get to Michigan, you can run more as long as you got the axles. And I don't want that tire bill.
Right.
That's all I cringed about going down the interstate in Michigan. It was like, oh my God, the tire bill is just astronomical.
It really, I've had a conversation with a couple guys about that here, and you only place you can really put the extra axle is going to be on the tractor itself. But then with the sled being what constitute your trailer, you can't get the spread to even it out. It just there really is a finite threshold even here with the extra limit.
Couldn't you add like? I mean, like some of the detaches, they have the extra, like, I would call it like an extra axle that's behind there.
Yeah, you could probably
airbags, and you could offset that. Couldn't you do that with a sled technically?
Yeah, you probably could do something like that. Yeah, and then it could be fairly easily detachable at the track. You probably could do something like that.
It's detachable at the track, and then you got a tag axle on the truck. I mean, you could, like, I think theoretically you could spread that out. I mean, that's the other thing is you're gonna run oversized permits. You're gonna have to, you know, pay that stuff and whatnot. But at that point, like, you know, it's an addition to the sled again. You're making modifications. Mm-hmm. So they got to be able to carry it.
At what point does it become reasonable or feasible to just take a half ton and start dropping 2,000-pound bricks in it and have that guy follow the sled?
It may get to that point.
Cali lean.
Who freaking cares?
It's a half ton.
I mean, if it means that we get to run semis, you know, 7 times more a year.
Yeah.
Because we can stop them. Hell
The weight box may have to be bigger too, though. I mean, to Kyle's point, they got to change some stuff. The weight box may need to be bigger at that point. They got to have room to put the weights in.
Or like a double decker setup, like a layers of weights. Either way, it's going to be, there has to be some kind of a talk on that because otherwise they're going to run out of. I mean, I've talked to sled guys at our polls before, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm already a little I'm a little heavy to be here right now, but I had to stop the supermods, or
Yep.
that kind of a thing. So that's definitely something there where you're gonna run into that. I mean, maybe they'll just have like 12-inch gougers on the bottom of them now, just to really tear. That'll work.
Because the track will hold that.
I was gonna say you better know
sure,
your
it'll be
track
fine.
crew. Your
Yeah,
track crew
it'll be
better know how to
fine.
pack
It'll be
it.
fine. Don't worry about it.
There won't be any waves or nothing. That's my favorite. I don't know if anyone else it always seems like at polls you'll get the poller that thinks like I'm watching the track, like studying it all night, not watching the tractors go by, because they'll come up like, where do you think the good line is? I'm like, first off, I have an idea, but if I tell you and then it goes wrong, like then you're gonna be pissed at me. Like I wouldn't go there, maybe not there, but yeah, it's.
They ask all of us when we're shooting through a camera lens, like, where do you think? It's like I'm shooting through a lens that is like, it's a circle, and you're looking at that circle, but it becomes a square. Answer that one. But number two, we don't see the position on the track through a lens usually, but they will always come ask, what do you think? And it's situational awareness. You don't understand necessarily on the track where they're at the time. So.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway,
Mark.
I have no idea how we got onto the topic of sleds and how that went into the weeds, but okay, we did that. We said tonight that Charles would fiddle with things, Cody would drink bourbon, I would wear a hat, and there was no script.
I fiddled with way more things than I thought I was going to tonight, and I'm a little pissed.
I'm kind of annoyed that Cody hasn't consumed more bourbon, but whatever.
I'm in menopause. It's hot over here. It's at like 66 in my house.
You're wearing a freaking coat.
It's a Carhartt sweatshirt.
You should have planned a little better. I'm down in the basement. You've been down in this basement. You know it's cold. I wore an Oxford shirt. I'm okay.
There was one time it was hot. It was like deathly hot in there. I was like, oh my God. It was bad. So as you don't know, I've around the corner behind Ryan is a spare room that I've spent plenty of times in. It's basically my apartment during the summer, from when we travel together. So, but there was one time it was really hot.
Waggle, next time I see you, I want a visual representation of this. I want to understand how 6 feet of pan can fold up.
What if it's slick?
I don't discredit the idea. I can't see it in my head.
But that would add more weight that you can't carry in movable weight at that point.
Yeah, but a folding pan isn't going to be that much weight. But I suppose the bricks to fill it would, yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Make my head hurt too much. Past 9 o'clock, I can't be thinking that way.
Yep, that's true.
I'm like thinking the folds like there were wings on the side because the light can go out of bounds. Your flag guy is going to be pissed when they're re-chalking the line every 3 hooks.
Yep. Or when he's having to duck the fold out weight box.
Yeah.
As it comes by at 32 miles an hour behind it.
News from Bauer built the Batwing sled.
Oh, that is. Get Rhino to sponsor the R&D behind that.
Bush Hog is going to be the name of the sled.
There you go. There you go.
Bush Hog sled.
Don't just mow down your yard, mow down the competition.
That's right. Vaughn will have orders out the door.
I can see it now. You think receiver hitches hurt your shins? Wait till the Bush Hog comes in.
And takes you out at the face. So that pan is longer. I do know. I'm almost certain of that. Beyond that, I don't know what changes have been made.
That sounds about right from what I've heard.
I've never seen the Grouser bars or anything like that, and I've never asked Vaughn about it.
I know the truck guys don't like it.
Is one of them named Ike?
Him and just about everybody else in his class.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say him and potentially a guy named Joe.
Yeah, there's a few of them who
Yeah.
done a little too much of the in
Yeah.
front of it.
If
But can we,
have
I mean, but
we
can
have
we,
that in a GIF?
Yeah.
We-
yeah. But can we talk about the showmanship that Ike Zaring put on display on Wednesday night? He beat the ever-loving crap out of his truck. We could all see it from where we were sitting. You guys could all see it who were watching the live stream and saw pictures and all that. And Miles and Dan went and talked to him and said, "What do you think?" He's like, "Well, fans paid for a show. Let's and that motor still runs and the transmission, and that's all okay. Let's give her what she got." And he came back and he ran that thing, and I mean, it looked like it was going to tear that fiberglass apart, but he made another lick, and I give him a lot of credit for that.
That thing looked like an old Scottsdale that the leaf springs on the left side gave out on the rear end.
Uh-huh.
And he still made it work, and I was like, "That's impressive." Like,
did you?
To those guys.
Did you happen to see how I captioned one of the photos because I got a handful of pretty okay photos of Ike making that second pass, and I forget what I can't remember what I said about it, but it was something to the effect of Ike has redefined the Cali lean or the Carolina squat or something like that. And I said, and for the week of farm show, basically I said nobody will give him any shit about it and it'll be perfectly acceptable. But yeah, that completely redefined the Carolina squat, that's for sure, or the Cali lean. I've seen it one other time, and Cody, you saw it too because you were there at the second running of the Cowtown, or maybe the third. We had a truck that broke something in the suspension, and it was an S10. It was like an S10 extended cab body, and it ended up looking like this as it was going down the track.
Yeah.
And I remember it had an American flag on it. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was.
That's a pull that I'd really like, to come back someday. That obviously it's close to home type of thing, but just the people involved and the equipment. They pulled from Wednesday night through Saturday. Like, they got enough equipment and iron there. It pulled that many times. And I'm telling you, what Wednesday night was test hooks, two sessions on Thursday, 2 on Friday, and 2 on Saturday. It got that much iron, and they had a good venue type of thing. So, just down the road type of thing.
That became a marathon though for us.
It did. It really did. But for an indoor hook, like, you're not freezing your ass off. You're not out in the heat.
The lighting was really good.
The lighting was. I don't know if I'd call it really good. It was okay. Like, they're LED lights, but they weren't.
Have you found better in indoor pulling?
I would rather shoot in Louisville than I shot in Kansas City, personally.
Fine.
So,
you can color correct at the starting line, at the middle, and at the end. I was pulling my hair out by the end of this last album.
I hated the color correcting from there.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I hated it. So I don't think I did as much at Louisville as I did down there. But still, I'm ready for an indoor pull to be out this way and not have to drive 9 hours to an indoor pull. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
So, because ship's a long ways.
Especially when the weather sucks.
This year, yes, 100%.
Yes, thank you for driving. I'm sorry I gave you shit about being a slow driver.
Yep, that's okay.
I would probably give you shit again if you drive slow during the summer.
That's fine.
But whatever.
Just set the cruise and go. That's about it.
Thanks, Mark. Way to uphold the professional image.
And now we know why Mark gets all his photos done before the rest of us.
Bingo.
There you
Bingo.
go, Mark. How do you like that one? Taste them apples. Go to Washington.
Black and white challenge, sepia filter.
Right. Alex, no ship is not moving to Missouri.
No.
No.
I don't know where you heard that rumor. That's definitely not happening.
No. I'm
But
just saying it because
to Cody's point, maybe Cowtown ain't dead yet. I mean, that's all I'm going to say about it. I will not answer any questions, but maybe Cowtown ain't quite dead. And if so, any of you guys on the Western Series, please, for the love of God, support it.
it doesn't have to be a Western Series, any of those, because that's the hard thing about that event. At where Cowtown was is it's city owned, so you have to pay like a city rate for the fire department to be there, for every single person on the fire department that's there in XYZ. Like, it was such an expensive event to have, period, at that venue.
Well, I don't think it's done, but I also don't think it's necessarily going to be in the exact same place.
Right.
Maybe not.
Yep. So, but anyhow, something else I want to talk about. Kyle, do you follow any other motorsports besides tractor pulling? You said you're a dirt guy.
Yeah,
We've already talked about the aforementioned,
Yeah. We got the redneck scale of mud bogs, the demo.
Well,
But I'm also into, like, I got a buddy that does dirt track racing. Actually, we met because I was wandering around a pits when I first got involved in this, and again, I was like asking anybody who would let me just get a pit pass in, and I met him, and he races dirt modifieds. And so this summer, he's promoting a kart track about 45 minutes from my house. So I will be trying to be a flagman for the first time this summer and running the receiver. So that'll be
and running a camera.
no. I don't think I'm going to try and run.
Thank the Lord.
Yeah, we got a lot of kids.
At some point, you are going to become a liability.
Yeah, at that point, I think. I mean, what I might do, I've had some ideas of like putting the gimbal up, and you can have an AI. It's got an AI detector on it, so it'll follow me, and so I can do some cool stuff if it if it follow me and doing the same flag stand.
Just mount the GoPro on your head; it'll be fine.
That's what I wanted to do that to our flag guys. I told John, our one flag guy, that I wanted to mount a GoPro on him one night just to get that view of the whole night of him running around. But I'm like, I'll probably have to mute most of it because sometimes when drivers do dumb stuff and he has to say something, or he's got a fan that's wandering on the track.
Kyle Phillips, if you're still watching, you're getting a GoPro strapped to your head.
100%.
Yes.
Because I'm not here for the actual pass. I want to know what you say between passes, because that will be gold.
I don't know what's going on all that on film.
You get the right flag, man. Yeah, you're gonna have to edit that to get 100%. That 1 minute 15
would
seconds.
Be Kyle. It would be Kyle. I mean, it would 100% be Kyle. So, yeah.
I might throw Clint under the bus here, but can you imagine putting a GoPro on him?
Oh God.
You don't need a GoPro. You just need a wireless mic and a picture of him. It'll be fine.
Yes.
Everyone will.
Clint, we love you, but at some point in time, we might do that.
I mean,
I might have wireless mics that record for 8 hours straight. That might be entertaining to try.
I can just hear every fourth sentence starting with, "I don't know what the fuck."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if the NFL could do it with miking up players for a game, why not? Mic up an official for a night just to get a good. There'd be some entertainment value in that.
Kyle, I will try and help you sell John on that tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
My guess is that John is going to look at you and say, "You are out of your mind."
He will, because I have mics that can work with my stuff. That I have two of them, so I'll be like, "Here, just put this one on," and I'll catch everything you're saying. I'll catch some stuff you're saying.
Right. You just don't need to tell him that the mic is on.
Good point.
John, I just want to see the tractors coming at you.
Yeah.
I won't use anything else. Yeah, promise.
Don't worry about the wire that's connected down to your shirt collar and why it's there.
This is the receiver. We just need to clip this on here so it'll like sync to my phone.
Yeah, that's it. He's gonna end up watching, but no, I know that. But yeah, I forgot. This is John tomorrow.
John is gonna punch both of us tomorrow. You know that,
there's
right?
no way. There's no way. No. All right, John. I guess I can't sleep. I'm not gonna try and crash on your couch tonight. I guess.
Crap.
To Dale's comment, can you imagine if like Flow Sports had a live stream, then they could swap to the camera of the flagman and what he's saying during that?
Oh,
just start a Patreon for that.
Yes.
Kyle, you could do that. You've got a YouTube channel. You could start a Patreon for that.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of extra work. But yeah.
You could say Courtney Enders is like, and we go to our flagman to say what the commentary is.
Comment. That is the winner right there.
Yeah.
But I don't know that
know Laura fairly well and know the words.
Some of those conversations should not be heard by anybody.
Not even the voices in her head.
Well, and if you have a receiver, you can easily tune into what the officials at least saying to the drivers, because that can be entertaining as enough. When we were first doing live streaming stuff, I used to plug a receiver in and listen to the audio, and yeah, it definitely there was a reason why that audio never made it onto any of my live streams, because the fly guy it was that's also why for the kart track my buddy goes, yeah, since it's gonna be mostly kids, I want you talking to them and not yelling at them. So, oh yeah, that's fine, makes sense.
Tillman would be a safer listen than Laura would.
1,000%. Even when Tillman is bouncing off the walls, with Coltrane's.
It's not gonna be like Days of Thunder. Listen on the radio and Days of Thunder.
No. Tillman won't tell anybody to hit the pace car. We don't have pace cars in pulling.
No, but still, I mean, like I could picture Tillman saying a few things that close to Days of Thunder.
Mm-hmm. Telling a light pro driver, your tires are matched perfect and staggered special.
Put a big oil pan on you.
Tillman, if you're watching, thanks for playing along, buddy. If you don't tell Mark Smith that or Matt Smith that in the next year, you failed.
Yeah.
You should tell it to somebody who flirted with the left side chalk line too much this year. Oh, it'll go right this year.
Your tires are matched. Yeah. Well, and the Smiths, didn't they had mismatched tires?
Yeah.
They did on two of them.
Yeah.
So
somebody already told them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that would be a really interesting conversation with them, is like, at what point did you realize that you had the wrong set of tires on two tractors?
I think they figured it out when they blew the hub out of black and blue and they started taking tires off. They went, oh, what the?
Yeah.
That's funny. I mean, it is, but it isn't,
Yeah, pace trackers used to be a thing. So did the rope class.
Shout out to the Michigan guys who understand what that means.
I got a bunch of that to actually post on the YouTube channel when I get around.
No way.
Yeah,
Who did you get that from?
Scott. Oh shoot, what's his name? I'm having a brain fart right now. I'll tell you.
I remember talking to some of the Northwest guys that when before they went to,
I'll bet you have. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt Cody, but
yeah, before they went to knowing how fast they were going, they're going off just an RPM box, and where they thought they were going for speed, they actually weren't. So once they actually put a speedometer on there and found out hey, we're 2 miles below what we should be, it made a huge difference. So I mean, we talk about evolution of what that's done for the sport in itself of electronics.
Scary word.
No, we don't need that.
I know, right? But still,
no, we don't need that.
There were some of those guys that they've been off RPM for all their life, and that's where they thought they needed to run, and they didn't realize until they put, an actual speedometer and all. Oh shit, we're 2 miles below everybody else, and all of a sudden that they didn't have to change anything else other than we were 2 miles faster, and that made a huge difference for them.
Dale brings up a very good point here.
Scott
And-
Thompson is who I got that from.
Ah, okay. I was gonna say, did Tim Wyden send you some footage or something?
No, I got it from Scott, but it's like 90s stuff. Like Jim Shandorf, the first time he had the 1066s in there, and
Whoa, really?
prehistoric Tony Seitzema, and yeah, there's some cool stuff in there.
Old West Michigan stuff?
Back when it was called Michigan Farm Stock.
No, West Michigan farm stock.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. Jeez. Yeah,
Ryan
you see
will not
where
leave his- Ryan
you
will
can
not
see
leave
where
his basement for a
Borsons
week.
came from and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You won't leave the basement for a week. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Cody, that's what I grew up watching. I mean, and I only got to see it once a year. I mean, when I grew up, my parents thought, and my dad still thinks, that pulling is kind of a ridiculous idea.
The devil.
And at the end of the day, I think we'd all agree with him. But, you know, when I was a kid, I got to go to my county fair, the one that Charles announces now. And
That
was it.
There is one session of Fremont in here from had to have been the fair in 1993.
Wow. I'll bet I'm in that somewhere.
Muskegon, Morley, Berlin, Sparta, Fremont, Hudsonville, Kent
Holy
City,
crap.
Big Rapids, Berrien Springs, Dorr. Yeah. Hartford. I'll start getting that cranked out.
I can't wait to start seeing that stuff. That'll be a walk down memory lane.
So I'm not familiar with the pace tractor. Describe what a pace tractor did for the class.
If you watch really, well, you have to see a film of it at this point. You can go way back in time, like 70s. They would literally have a garden tractor or a small tractor run next to the pulling vehicle with a flag on a rod out the front of it and a flag basically at the back of the tractor. And you had to go fast enough to stay in front of the back flag, but couldn't go faster than the one at the front. And as soon as you fell behind the back flag, you better be on your way down. You couldn't come back in front of it. And the rope class that Ryan and I were talking about, essentially the same idea. It was just a rope with those same two flags on it and a set of bike wheels that ran the entire 300 feet of the track.
Yep.
And it was kind of an entertaining game to watch guys play with getting to that flag or whatever. And with the rope class, it was fully automated back in the flag tractor days. I imagine if you didn't like the guy or whatever, you'd monkey with the throttle or something.
Yep. But when it was in the rope class, the deal was you would let that. There were three flags. There's
three. Yeah, you're right. There were three.
Yeah, there were like two red flags on either end, and they were spaced like, I don't know, let's say 40 feet apart. And
probably
then
not
right
far
in the
off.
center, there was a black flag, and you stayed with the black flag when you started out to get a little bit of speed, and then you slowly started kind of gradually working backwards. And the deal was, if I remember right, it was you could not pass if you fell behind that back flag, that back red flag, you couldn't pass it again. But if you got even with it and then you just hammered on it and, really, beat on it,
you'd try to catch that first.
You had 40 feet to grab speed before, because you couldn't pass that front red flag.
Yeah, it was a game.
It was 100% a game, and it was awesome to watch. And we've seen how many different Super Farm champions come from that. I mean, Tony's won how many times?
Gosh, I don't even know how many.
I mean, we've seen NTPA Grand National champions come out of that. We've seen Louisville farm show champions.
Oh, Jimmy went on to win one super stock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they all kind of cut their teeth on that rope class. I mean, I remember seeing classes when I was a kid, when I saw Tony, the Borsons, Jack Link, Dave Klein, all these guys who never ended up competing on the NTPA Grand National level, plus Joe Moore, his dad Mike, Joe Manning, who ran a D21 called the Hay Burner. Was it the Hay Burner or the Cash Burner?
I don't remember. Cash Burner, I think. And then he had Gold Rush and Super Farm after that.
Yep. So and those guys have all gone on to win some fairly prestigious either points titles or some very prestigious, tractor pulls. Joe's won Toma. Tony's won, I think, everything there is to win, pretty much.
I don't know if he's got a BG ring.
I don't know if he has a ring. But yeah, they all came out of West Michigan, and they all came out of that. They all kind of learned what they learned on that road or on that rope class, and I mean that was what I grew up watching. I got up to Iowa, and I'm like, the hell, they don't have a rope class?
I was gonna say I've never heard of this in local. I mean, we had antique pulls that went from antique to somewhat where we are today. Like, we didn't have rope classes that I know of in the area, but I didn't really start going to the pulls until I was in high school ish. So
I think rope classes, I think that was a Michigan thing.
Yeah.
Tim Wolf, I know you're watching. If you've seen Wolf or rope classes in other states, let us know. But I mean, I think that was a West Michigan thing.
Like, that's foreign to me. So that, like, it's intriguing, and like, I'm now on the edge of my seat waiting for Charles to get these videos posted because I want to watch this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to add to your workload, Charles, but like, I'm
but hurry up, we're all waiting on you.
It wouldn't take much actually to get those up.
But
just
like,
chop them apart.
I've never heard of this, and so it's fascinating to hear because it's progression of the sport. Where we were, what we've come to, and into Moose's comment about mile per hour classes. That's still a thing. Like, that's still a thing in several clubs and associations where it is a mile per hour class, and it's you go over the miles per hour, you're out. I mean, that's plain and simple.
Moose, you are correct. Steve Marsh had Cash Burner, but he got it from Joe Manning, who called it Hay Burner.
Bingo. And I'm still trying to figure out where Joe's 190 XT went when he sold that.
Ron Brinkman, if you're watching, you would know.
No, Ron, I don't think Ron does, because if I remember right, I've asked him. Because some of my earliest memories were of Joe Manning pulling in the like 6,000 farm or hot farm class with a 190 XT, and I remember Tom announcing it because he had water injection.
Is this the question of this year? Because like last year was what was the tractor last year we were searching for? It went like on
Screaming Demon.
There you go. So
and we have found it, by the way.
Yep. So question of 2024 is, let's state it.
Where did Joe Manning's 190 XT go? I've been told that it went to Southern Iowa. I have no idea where.
So, viewers in the comments and everything, if you know where that's at, please let us know. Hopefully it doesn't take the rest of the year to figure out.
And if somebody is still good friends with Joe Manning, hook a brother up. Let us know. We'd like to know.
Wagles had Pace tractors in Missouri. Interesting. Chris, was that at Mountain City or is that just at other polls?
Was that 190? Did it have? Do you remember if it was narrow front or wide?
Wide.
Wide.
Okay.
That was the first time I ever remember hearing about the white to gray to black, and it was Tom announcing it, and I remember it clear as day.
Got any idea what year that would have been?
Late 80s, early 90s.
Okay, no, this is definitely not it then, because this is like a 190 that narrow front that sure shit looks like Joe in the seat, but this was 93.
I'm almost positive that it was a 190 XT wide front.
Gotcha. I don't know. You have to dig. I'll get through these and get it all put up. Be my project for this weekend.
Bethany.
I wish that we could find some more photos or a massive photo dump from any photographers who covered Bethany back in the day. I have always wanted to see some of the tractors there. And I know that Dennis Schrammick, what did he pull? I think because he pulled me aside one day and asked me if I had ever run across any pictures of him pulling a 190 XT at Bethany, because he was looking for photos of it and he had never found them. So if any of you guys are like internet super sleuths and you find those photos, because he said, I know there were photographers there. I don't know if any of them were ever digitized or, whatever. But if you can find any of those and they're Dennis, let us know. Because he's been looking for those for years.
Well, I definitely found him on a narrow front one pulling in the rope class in 93.
Who, Joe?
Show
Yep.
it. Show
Really?
it.
Yeah, I can show it. The only shit part is, like usual, you're not going to hear it.
I don't care. I want to see what this looks like. This is foreign to me, so I want to know.
Yeah,
And I'm pretty sure. Okay, I backed it up. I am pretty sure that you're going to see Ron Brinkman driving off, waving at the camera, and then it goes to Joe.
Fantastic.
Share.
Also, thank you to Stabilization.
You can just barely see the ropes there dangling in the foreground. And
Yep.
You'll see the flags come into view here pretty quick.
Yep. On the left-hand side.
That's what he keeps looking over at.
Yep.
So what moved? What was triggering the flag? Like what moved the flag? Was it a hand crank? Was it
One, two.
No, it was on
back.
a motor.
So it was based off of like a generator motor type of thing that like at a certain time type of thing?
More or less, it was like a generator motor or something like that, and somebody actually held the rope until such time as you wound up and let off that clutch.
So was each class a different speed?
Not
As
really.
far
I
as
think
I
they just
know,
had
it was not.
No, I think they just had a couple different weight breaks, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then I
And
think
I
they
have
had
no idea
some
what
like
that
no
weight-
limit, no limits
Yeah.
classes too.
That's cool. Innovation.
Well, West Michigan innovation anyway. And I mean,
It's
that
still-
had to have come from the fact that they got to a pull where nobody had a small tractor or nobody wanted to sit on a garden tractor and run back and forth over the same 300 feet for 4 hours.
Right.
So they came up with a way around it where they didn't have to have that.
But
you're right. Innovation.
It tells the history of pulling. You know, I mean, and honestly, like, that was a part of pulling history. Say what you want, like, we didn't get to where we are today without some type of innovation, some type of history to get here. So, yeah. And Charles, whatever you did, we heard sound on that this time.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, making turbo sounds.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was going to do it.
I was going to say it was either you or it was the video, and I wasn't sure who.
Because I was like, I hear something. It's not me.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point, though. Like, without, you look at some of these older stuff, especially, like, I mean, ever since my first son was born, like, the one when he was real little, I got him convinced that we should watch a lot of, like, the early 90s TNT, like, back when tractor pulling was in stadiums with, like, 20,000 people watching, and you're like, oh, that'd have been a cool time to be alive. But, ever since to see, like, where it's come, but to not lose that part, like, with how, like, at that point, the rope pull might have also been where it took away, like, I'm sure at some pull somebody was like, oh, the pace tractor guy was dragging the brake for my hook. He was going slow, so they're like, okay, we'll go to the rope. Makes it consistent, it adds consistency, and you see that, as the sled technology's gotten better, where there's more consistency, there's never that talk of like, oh, you hit the brake or something.
Right. That is a funny comment that I've always felt the speed limit is an innovation killer. I'd rather eat a jean jacket than pull speed limit. Like,
Dale, if we ever start up the Sidetracked t-shirt store again, that will be that last
you will be shitting wicker baskets from now on. But besides the point.
That is fantastic.
Just the shot of a crowd watching a speed limit class, and they're all eating their jackets. That's why they're usually first or last in the show, because
bingo.
Either prep back or keeping the drunk ones excited for that last hook of it, having them buy one more beer before they head home.
Mm-hmm.
This, I don't know for sure. This could be the last time. No, he had it in 95. Never mind. Well, or did he? I was going to say, is this the last hook that Joe Kwiatkowski had, the diesel wild thing, before he sold it to Jimmy Shandorf? Let me check that. Can't remember which year that changed hands.
That feels late to me.
That says he had it all the way through 96, so never mind. No, it's not. But anyway.
Kyle, if you got to go take care of the kids, by all means, like, we don't want to keep you.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just kind of rambling on at this point.
Oh, it's fine. I haven't heard them in a while, so I think they're good.
Okay. just thought
I haven't gotten
check in.
A message for like at least a half hour about an update. There was a little bit there where I thought, but at the same time, Glenn's room is right above the room I'm in. So
okay,
if I hear a noise or the thump of my wife on the floor, you will see me just boom.
Exit stage left. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be. Or if you just see me disappear, like, where'd he go? He came back a second later. But oh.
And who is this again, Charles?
Jim Shandorf.
No longer rope pulling on that one.
No.
I looked
the
at
rope couldn't keep pace.
No.
You think Joe panicked a little bit at half track when he backed out of it?
Maybe a little.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're at 2 hours and 10 minutes of legit straight rambling, and there's 25 people who are still watching. We're legitimately concerned for all of you. We think you need to find a hobby. But do we want to call it quits?
Hold on 1 second. See if this rings any bells for you, Ryan.
Oh man.
Are we doing photo of the week? Because like I was actually prepared this week.
Crap, I wasn't.
A photo of the week.
Yeah, a photo of the week.
All right, well, here's mine. It's from Morgan Schulte. Does that look like it might have been it?
100% that's it. No, it's not. I don't think so. I think that looks like a 200 or a 210 grill. Just the
I can't tell for
proportions.
sure.
I wouldn't swear to it, but
No, it's not a
210 would be wider. But
Yeah.
maybe a 200. I remember Joe's was a 190 XT. But that said, I haven't talked to Ron Brinkman in a long time. I owe the guy a phone call. So I should just ask him.
Oh, you're only mine.
It's the only one we got, so.
This is a good buddy of mine that they have a tiling and drainage business, and they asked me to come do some photos and videos to kind of help their marketing department. And so went out there. I got a nice gravel road background into that, and some dust before the rain, and got a nice cat picture. So that man is a phenomenal dozer excavator operator. Like 3/4 of one track will be hanging in the air and he's walking back out of it. I'm just like, this will make for good video if it rolls over. And he every time manages to walk right out of it. So
then it makes for kind of crappy video because nothing catastrophic.
Yeah, no, it's like
happens.
not eventful. It's like, oh, yep, whatever.
Like, come on.
He's used to it. Like, and I'm just like, all right, here we go. He's going back down in the hole again. And he's like, God damn it. Delete
That must be some tile he's put in that field if he needs a 329 with a thumb on it.
Oh,
right?
These boys put like some big tile. Like they'll put 24-inch mains in. And they took a farm that was a bunch of trees. Put like was it like a 2 or 2.5 acre pond in on this farm? Took all the trees out, terraced it. They're putting tile in here, and a main and a crossing and terraces. I mean, like it is. They have completely changed everything, but
I think they missed a tree, by the way.
Yeah, that's on the neighbor. That's on the neighbor side.
Oh,
so
well,
they like their trees apparently. But they do work all in Southwest Iowa. They go all the way up to Fort Dodge, Ogden area, Algona. They do tiling up there, so like they've been up there all week. They got rain up today, and they're coming back home for now. But these guys know what they're doing, and good friends of mine. They have a phenomenal shop too, by the way. So, and apparently my smoke alarms are going off, so I'm gonna hit mute at this point to figure out what's on fire.
Hey, put out the fire, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna go figure out what my house is on fire. So.
You heard it here first. Please, everybody say nice things at his funeral.
It quit. I don't know why.
That's fine. But the fire
It's
footage.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah. False alarm. Back to the bourbon.
False.
Yes, Chris Wagle.
Right.
It'll be fine.
Everything is fine.
I almost had a dehumidifier catch my house on fire when I was walking out the door one time, so it's fine.
A thing that relies on water to work almost caught fire at Cody's house.
Not humidifier, dehumidifier.
Oh, sorry.
Dehumidifier.
My fault.
I was going to McLouth, Kansas for Bill Petrie's poll. The truck is loaded. I am less than 5 minutes from walking out my house. Like walking out, and I was like, what is that noise? That sounds like an air compressor. I was like, my neighbors are too goddamn old to run an air compressor to put air in their tires. So, and I stick my head out the door. I was like, it's not outside. And then I walked by like the floor vent, and I was like, that's from my basement. I open up the basement door, and I get like hit in the face with smoke. And I run downstairs, and the dehumidifier's in flames. There's smoke everywhere. And it had like the 90-degree plug. I yanked it as hard as I could out of there, and I shoved it out the walkout basement. And it's still sitting there to this day. I actually had somebody ask me if they can borrow it because they'd like an insurance claim. I told them no.
Hey,
They're
you
like,
could
we want
rent
to
it to
guarantee.
them, make some money, you know.
They're like, but
fighting.
it's guaranteed not to work. I was like, no, it's guaranteed. It's not happening at your place. It's going to the dump when
La
the
la la la
riot
la.
sale
Pretend I
comes
didn't
on.
hear this. La 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 la.
Allegedly, all of this didn't happen.
Right, 100%.
Yes.
Hey, you know
Like
what?
you don't have to
Before
put, you don't even have to put it next to the curtains. Bad. So
There you go.
but
Hey,
anyhow.
before we all sign off, Tim Wolf had asked, I don't know, probably an hour and a half ago, tell us about all of the instruments hanging on the wall.
So I have more gear than talent, and so I have to
Well, that's fine. So do we. I mean, it's a thing.
I don't know. I play guitar. Really only drums not my church, but I play guitar sometimes in my church. So I started getting guitars, and so then I've collected a horde of like cheap guitars. Most of them are cheapish, and so there's those ones back there. And then there's some more over there and there.
Well, come on, take your phone and move it around.
Hey, let's go for a walk.
Yes, please. Thank you. We nerd out about this stuff too.
Okay, hold on. So my light's probably terrible, but there's
I see a bass or two in there, don't I?
Yeah, there's a couple basses.
Yes.
You can play some bass too, and then there's
a ukulele.
I was gonna say,
I went into a ukulele kick for a while.
Is that
There's
a banjo?
probably my favorite one I've made, and I don't even play it, but is this skateboarder guitar. It's a skateboard that I turned into a slide guitar. With the
I like that.
Oh, that's
we're gonna need to hear some.
No, that one doesn't fit right now because that's the guitar's down, and then there's my actual instrument I really play, which is the drum set back there
with massive speakers to keep the kids to go to sleep.
That's for the other side of Bibster's Repair Shop where I do DJing. See, have a mic will travel.
Wow.
Have a mic will travel.
So that's what last year with ECI, I kept, because 2 years ago at Palo they had an issue with the mic where there were rechargeable batteries and they didn't have an extra one. So when the mic died, we lost the announcers. And I'm filming and I'm like, what happened to Bear? They're like, oh, the mic's dead. I'm like, we don't have a wired mic. And in my head, I'm trying to think of what I had in my car, and I didn't have my podcasting stuff. So I was like, crap, I don't think I can make it work. Well, so then this year, I took my Shure double mic wireless set to every single pole, because if the mics died on the announcers, I was like, you just look at me, I'll grab it out of the car, we'll plug it in and go. And at Palo this year, same thing happened. They're like, we only have one mic, and we had two announcers. And I was like, hold on, Andy. Went out to the car. It had lived back there for 4 months through dust and all the stuff, but yeah.
I wish
you're not the only one.
I went to Palo for the tractor pulls when I lived out there in Cedar Rapids, because that was my route to work every day, and we always joked, but like if Palo ever had a nuclear plant deal, like a blip of sunlight and that's all you see, we're all gone.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it's a fun little pull, but yeah. So that's what I do that too, where I've bought sound equipment so I can DJ, and then when since I do stuff on the weekends with tractor pulling, I really don't do many weddings DJing because that's not as fun. And so then it all lives down here until inevitably one of my buddies gets married and asks me to DJ. So.
And then you have to behave yourself that weekend.
Behave in a different way. You know, it's
right.
Weddings can be fun. Again, it all depends. It's like that motorsports spectrum. You get in there, you see how the crowd's working. You're like, oh, this is a serious wedding. You got to be pretty, you got to put the polo over the bibs so that way you look like you're classed up. And other weddings, you're like, we can put the polo under the bibs and be yourself. I got a coworker I'm doing one for next year, and he's like, my fiance said you can't wear bibs. I'm like, well, I'm wearing bibs under it. Like, listen, this is how this works. Like, there'll be a polo over, like on Sundays. That's how this works.
He's gonna wear dress bibs. They'll have a crease in the in the center of the pant.
Yeah.
Ryan, you'll get a kick out of this. Cam Hartstack used to actually drive to a lot of auctions in places with the auction system in the back of his truck just in case. And I will neither confirm or deny that I was at a party once that he used the auction stereo system for the sound system. So
I can 1,000% believe all of this. Knowing Cam just a little bit, I can 100%, 1,000%.
There's way more to the story offline that I can explain of how much more it got better after that statement. But he brought everything with him, no matter where he went. It was always in the back of the truck, everywhere, because he was like, "Oh, there might be an opportunity to auction at this place." Like this is the you talk about redneck, Kyle. Like I guarantee he is way more rednecker than you.
Yeah,
100%.
I try not to be. I appear redneck. I mean, okay, I do also have a tractor in my front yard, and I live in town. Well, it's in the driveway now. But for Christmas, I put a tractor in the front yard with inflatable minions on it. I had 4 on it last year, and then this year the end was at the farm, so I did the golf cart with all the minions on it. But my neighbors liked it. The one year the city of Clinton told me in March I couldn't have the tractor in the front yard anymore, which the neighbors, they all thought it was great, but I had to move it back to the driveway. But yeah, living in town but pretending you're country is hilarious because there's one outside, there's one in the garage. The cars don't go in the garage. That's where a customer's tractor is right now. That kind of lives there because I don't work. I used to film videos of me working on stuff, and then I started following tractor pulling, and nobody got time to actually fix anything. It's a lot easier to show up to a pole and film it and put that on there.
Yeah.
Suddenly swapping out a TA was kind of boring.
No, it's a junk VAC that I have to do a motor swap on. So I have a VAI, the industrial version of it that I'm running. I got to pull the motor out of that and put in the other one for my buddy. But yeah, that's just it's there. And then you have kids, and it all gets. Yeah.
And Clinton smells funny, and
yeah, you have to be outside. Ugh.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in here.
Right, I get it.
Well, all right, it's 6 minutes to 11 my time. I'm done.
Yeah, should we? Let's stick a fork in this. Kyle, what time are you getting down there? You'll probably be there long before me.
I'm gonna try and get there before 8. It starts at 9. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get there before 8. I'll probably leave my house at like 5:30 or something.
Oh, good Lord! I guarantee you, I don't leave my office before 1 or 1:30 in the afternoon. But yeah. I will be down there, and I'm 1,000% looking forward to it. I've got a new lens to break in. I'm just going to say this once. Nobody is safe from the candid game anymore. Because I do know that the layout of that building enough to know that there's nowhere you can hide that I can't get you. But I won't take pictures when you look dumb.
Pretty dumb. JC got some ones of me last year. I'm like, wow, that one looks good, but I know she had to get some ones of me being like, modified people drives trying to blow up in my face.
Dude, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times we look amazing or stupid. There's a photographer that's looking for us, and they've got folders of us. Jesse Post, I'm looking directly at you.
Yeah.
Jesse has pictures of at least the 3 of us. Kyle, I don't think he's ever gotten you yet.
Yeah.
But don't worry, your day's coming.
You're lucky. Just feel entitled as shit right now.
1,000%, because when he drops a photo of you, yeah, you'll look at it and just kind of, no.
You scroll Facebook and you just go, oh, God.
Yeah.
And you report it for harassment at that point.
Is that the way to get around it?
Absolutely.
Oh, fantastic.
You're
Actually,
welcome.
he sent me one that he got of me at Farm Show this year, and it's actually really cool. And he made a meme out of it, and he's like, I don't usually write about tractors, but when I do, it's interesting, Iron. Or something like that. I can't remember exactly how we put it. But that reminds me, shameless plug, if you're a Ford person, if you like Ford tractors, this week's Interesting Iron is all about the TW30 and why it bought Ford's a seat at the table. Now you know why, Charles. Now you know why I was asking about what happened to the Romeo plant.
Kind of figured that's where we were going with something along those lines.
Full of crap. You didn't know.
The only one thing that came out of there that was worth knowing about. Because I'm not sure that the 9600s came off that line. They
didn't.
were built. Yeah, they didn't. It was still down in the city when those were built.
Yeah, the frames. The frames. If I understand correctly, the frames for the 8,000, 9,000 series tractors, they were built in the northeast side of Des Moines, and then they were shipped back to Detroit.
Yeah.
For final assembly at what was the name of the plant?
In Southfield, I think, where the tractor plant was, or am I thinking of Massey Ferguson had a Southfield plant?
I don't know. It was, I don't know, somewhere in greater Detroit. But yeah, so that's why I was asking you about what had ever become of the plant in Romeo, because that's where the TW tractors came from. So, and there are two of them at dealers, one in Mosinee, Wisconsin. Shout out to Swiderski Equipment. And one in Jasper, Indiana. Shout out to our TZ partners at Hudson. So
Highland Park is where it was at. The tractor plant was at here.
Yeah.
Well, there's conflicting arguments whether 9600 itself was run out its production at Highland Park, or if it did actually get finished here in Romeo. I could ask Ed Schubert.
I think it was in Highland Park. That's I've read that from multiple different sources.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go see what's on fire in my house.
Yeah, please do that and put it out, maybe.
Yeah.
Put it next to the dehumidifier.
Smoke alarmers.
Just put it. Yeah, just roll it out. You know,
on the front
put it next to
porch.
the dehumidifier that was on fire.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah,
So,
sounds good.
We'll
So,
see you guys.
all right,
Thanks
folks,
for
thank
the
you
show.
for watching. We've wasted 2 hours and 27 minutes of your time. You're never going to get that back. We should probably forewarn you before we start our shows.
I'll redo the intro with a warning.
Yes. Charles fiddles with things. Ryan wears a hat. Cody drinks bourbon. Adam disappears. And you ain't going to get this time back. But thank you for spending it with us. Have a good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.